So I was born and raised in the middle of Kansas, and a little town called Junction City. And I lived there for 18 years, did all public schooling, and about the age of 14, actually, we got the first internet service provider in my hometown. And I absolutely fell in love with the internet from the beginning. And so I started hanging out with these group of internet people who were bringing internet to the Midwest before AOL really kind of came in, and they had user groups, and the problem was you were still like logging on with PPP scripts, and it was very, very cumbersome to get online. And I realized at a very young age, at like 14, with my farmer's driver's license permit, that I could go in-home and do kind of geek squad computer consulting and help set up people to get on the internet. And I was providing a service to the internet service providers who didn't really want to do in-home computer consulting, and also to the dial-up users who were not technically inclined or able to do that. And so I kind of fit this little niche market in the Midwest and grew this company from a very early age to a nice, sizable, recurring business that had a good customer base. And ended up landing a job with the ePrivacy Group in Paoli. And they were a technology consulting company that also had an anti-spam router, a physical device that would sit in an internet service provider's email stream. And having already worked for internet service providers at a very young age, I understood the pain points. I understood from the inside what it was like to own and operate an internet service provider. So I was able to, from a business perspective, speak to the CEO and make a case on why this anti-spam router service would be very beneficial. But also I was technical enough from both my passion and also my studies to have an in-depth technical conversation with the email architects and explain to them why this technology was so cool. So that technology ended up being spun off into a standalone company called Turntide, and they brought in Josh Koppelman as chairman of the board, Lucinda Holt, David Bruson is really the brainchild behind that, who was their CTO, and I was very, very fortunate enough at a very young age to be surrounded by a great number of awesome people. Vince Scavone was there, and learn a heck of a lot from them. I was at the right place, the right time, the right opportunity, and it's kind of like sitting down at the blackjack table and getting 21 your first hand. You don't begrudge the 21, but you kind of wish you bet more. And that was the situation that I was in. 6 months after Turntide was spun out, it was acquired by Symantec for just under $30 million, and I decided at that point in time to go back and get my MBA. I was absolutely in love with Villanova, so I went back for another 2 years and had a blast at Villanova, and then kind of searched around for my next gig. Went back to the Midwest for a little bit to help my parents' real estate company, built their online presence. Currently, over half of their leads are generated through their website, which is revolutionary for a Midwest real estate company. And then started looking for the next startup, always kind of loving the startup feel. And decided to come back to Pennsylvania and lined up with my co-founder of LTL, Karsten Petzold, and we decided to launch LTLPrints here in Philadelphia. One, because of Ben Franklin Technology Partners and some of the state funds that are out there. Two, because of the vibrant angel community in the area, Robinhood, Lore, Mac Alliance. These are all really great assets that hopefully we can tap in the future if needed. And also we have good mentors and people in the community that were willing to lend us an ear and give us a hand up and really help us along the way with questions and concerns that we had in how do we get started, where do we go, why, where do we get the money, where all of those things come from. So that's kind of how it progressed and where we are now, and both Karsten and I have a pretty unique background when it comes to startups and perspective and kind of our vision and what we're doing. And now we're in the trenches, rolling up our sleeves, getting dirty, making oversized wall graphics and loving every minute of it. I'm a big believer in you always have to be good to the consumer, right? I think a lot of people or a lot of companies, or especially in sales, are always out trying to put the screws in and figure out a way to get more cash out of the customer or potentially be more aggressive in order to get more money out. And I think if you are open and honest, embrace your mistakes, tell people when you mess up, tell them why the mistake happened, and embrace those, and just be honest and direct, that's gonna take you much further. I know that I sleep better at night having an open and honest relationship with my customers, with my suppliers, with my business partners, my investors, and my stakeholders. So as long as I'm open and transparent as much as possible with all of those parties, it makes my life less stressful. When I am always on guard and attempting to figure out what I should or should not say and why, that adds, it's just, those are wasted cycles. And I need to reserve my cycles for building a company that's successful. And if I have to be critical of people who are thinking about doing startups, I think there are a lot of people who are on the sidelines talking about what they should do, and they really should just start doing it, right? And stop talking and just start doing it. Even if that momentum is wrong initially, it's easier to correct momentum than it is to start it. So just getting over the hump and getting things moving is the best advice that I have. And a lot of people come to me and say, okay, I have this idea, how do I get started? And I think the best answer is just start. Go do something. And that's the number one most important thing. Stop talking, start doing. And sometimes I am reluctant to go to all of the different events in the city, almost to a fault, because I'm so busy doing stuff and building my company. So I've been told on multiple occasions that I don't have an off button, and I think that if you really look at the characteristics of successful entrepreneurs, you really have to love what you're doing. I love larger-than-life prints. I'm a big fan of what we're doing, so I don't turn off very well. I'm thinking about business nearly all the time. Last night I had some visitors from Europe in, and we decided to go to the Hard Rock Cafe, and on 2 occasions I found myself drawn to oversized prints at the Hard Rock Cafe and wondering what the material was that they were printed on. I see the world in a different way now. I'm focused on big prints and small prints and materials and adhesive and strokes on graphics and why that's all important. You're going to have a lot of people around you tell you that it's not going to work, or it's crazy, or that you shouldn't do it. There are a lot of people. It's odd because a lot of people don't realize that you're going to be successful until you are successful, and then it's this weird change where it's kind of like, well, I knew you could do it all along, right? But there were some of the same people who said, why are you going to jump out of the safety net of your job, or I don't understand your logic on why you're thinking about doing this. You have a really great life right now. Why would you like to change that? You need to be able to squelch those fears, embrace the fears, define them, right? Figure out what it is that's really bothering you, write it down, and then move on. And so I think being able to get up after getting knocked down or embrace your mistakes along the way is the number one most important thing.